So, so glad to be back. I want to share with you a little bit about kind of my process and what's inspiring class today. As I mentioned earlier, I've got some sunflowers behind me from the garden, and it's that time of year where we've got a lot of expansion. We are in kind of the middle of summer, and we can feel it energetically. We can feel it with the heat. We can feel it with, at least in the northern hemisphere, we're in the middle of summer, right? And we've got a very expansive energy that's going on. And so I'm calling this class today the energy class. And I don't mean it in terms of like crystals, although they're good. Like I'm okay with crystals, but what I'm really speaking about is just how are we kind of being with and managing our own energy? Where is it moving in us naturally? Where does that energy get stuck? Because sometimes what we're kind of feeling in terms of like our own heaviness or fatigue or burnout or overwhelm is really around how are we managing and negotiating with energy. And one of the beautiful things about a balanced yoga class is that it kind of opens up all of the energy channels so that we usually come out the other side feeling more refreshed, more clear, more grounded, more expansive, and yet connected to self. And that's when we've kind of opened up all of these energy domains. So in yoga, we're taught that we have different kind of channels or different energy expressions, different ways that energy flows through us. And sometimes this is referred to as nadis, as kind of all of the core energy channels that run through the body that actually have a lot of connection with meridians in the Chinese medicine or Oriental medicine system. And then also in yoga, we talk about this kind of movement of energy as the 5 winds or the vayus. And that the energy can be kind of an inward draw energy. If you think about the breath, it's the inhale, it's what's coming inward. We have a circulating energy around the core that's basically supports our digestion of what we've taken in, right? And then we've got a eliminating energy. We've got a downward flowing energy, this aponic force, right? So we've got prana, samana, apana. So we've got a downward flowing energy that helps us to let go, right? Let go of what's not serving us. We have a upward flowing energy out of the throat that allows us to express ourselves in the world. And we have a kind of overall circulatory energy that just really allows us to take up space and expand. And what most of us can reflect on is the ways in which some of those energies are really accessible, really easy to express in yourself, and some of them might be blocked. Maybe, for me, for a long time, and this may be funny to hear, but I was really blocked around self-expression. And I had a lot of anxiety public speaking, and I would flush and I would feel like my mind wouldn't work correctly and my thoughts would shut down, right? So like I had to work through clearing that energy channel and working through, some of the parts of my life that informed that stuckness. And so we're going to kind of work today with clearing all of that. And, often whenever we're kind of coming into alignment, when we're really trying to work with yourself on the mat, there is a listening practice and a kind of checking in with where is your energy flowing naturally? What's already wanting to happen? So that we can go in and kind of honor that your system has intelligence to it. That there's something either where it's flowing or even where it's stuck, that if we go toward and we honor that and we listen to it and we actually shape our bodies around those places, that there's information there for us. So this isn't about making a block or a stuckness wrong in any way, or an imbalance wrong in any way. Sometimes we have conflicting needs, right? We have a part of us that wants to get a lot done and go, go, go. And then we have a part that's tired. And so we can explore a dance and an honoring of both energetic needs. So obviously I could talk about this for a long time, but I want to get us onto our mats and explore it experientially and really just kind of trust this process that that the kind of energy focal point on a yoga mat is what infuses a pose, right? It's like we can go into a shape, but we can take any shape and have different energetic expressions or intentions inside of that shape. So we'll play with this together. One last thing that I'll kind of share in terms of where we're going with this practice is that one of the things that I think is really powerful, especially in today's world, is knowing how to hold charge, right? So that sometimes when we're kind of cultivating energy in our system, it can be a lot to be with. And so part of what yoga helps us do is build that container so that I can be with more energy, whether it's within myself or interpersonally, so that we can actually show up for each other in bigger, broader ways. We can stand inside of intense moments without shrinking away or collapsing. And that we can also stand inside of those moments in a humble manner, in a way that really just allows us to not have to force or to fight it, right? We know when to let go. So that's my little prayer for you today. I'm going to share just a little bit of a quote, which I'll invite you to take in whatever way supports you, so that as we begin to make our transition into our physical practice and being in the inward journey here, check in for a moment with your own energy, with what you're bringing with you onto your mat. For some of you, it's morning, and for some of you, it's afternoon. How did you sleep last night? What has occurred already through your day? Are there any areas of your body that feel stuck or are needing attention? Where do you sense that your energy is flowing naturally and easily? How does your breath move right now? Just naturally. I can see some of you are seated and some of you are laying on your backs. How does your body want to take shape in a way that just naturally is honoring your energy as you arrive on your mat? We always have these choice points. And as you're arriving, I'll offer a few wise words from Pema Chodron. When we protect ourselves so we won't feel pain, that protection becomes like armor that imprisons the softness of the heart. So just catching perhaps where you perhaps have armored in relationship to this life that's complicated, this world that's complicated. And a complimentary quote: when things are shaky and nothing feels like it's working, we might realize that we're on the verge of something. We might realize that we're on the verge of something. So that living is a form of not being sure, not knowing what next or how. And sometimes the moment that you know how, you begin to die a little. The artist never entirely knows. We guess. We may be wrong. But we take leap after leap in the dark. So I'm going to transition onto our mat. We're going to all get a little unsure together. So our first guided shape, and I'm going to remind you that every single shape that I share, every single yoga posture and breath practice is optional, right? Everything is choice. So you get to make everything yours, especially since I've got a few little challenges planned in our class today. I'd like you to really listen to your body, and I'll share modifications for everything. Our first one's not so challenging, still a choice. An invitation to come into Gyan Mudra. And this is a touching of the thumb tip and the first finger, and then allowing your other fingers to extend long and the backs of your hands to rest onto your knees. And perhaps just a little lengthening of your spine, a connection to your breath. And a noticing. Connecting to your breath. So why we take this mudra is, with our focus on energy, this mudra is about circulating the energy back into you, so that something as simple as closing the loop between your first finger and your thumb represents a closing of a channel that loops back into yourself, your own awareness. It's like having a mirror in a way that's reflecting back to you. This is the wisdom mudra. And it's allowing yourself to just tune in, the quality of your thoughts. You can refine them when you can hear them clearly. I invite you to stay here for a moment. I realized I forgot a clock and I'm going to get one. I shall be right back. Without a clock, I almost guarantee that I would practice with you for 2.5 hours. So this was a good choice. All righty. What are you sensing inside? Perhaps as you are refining and arriving, setting your intention. Yeah, I've shared some of my intentions for today, but what are you hoping to get out of this class? Why are you here? What is your why? And with that in mind and in heart, I'll invite you to bring a palm over your belly, a palm over your heart. And we'll start by just moving with the breath. So on an inhale, this lower hand, an invitation to guide your breath down past the diaphragm, expanding the belly. And then sending that breath up into the heart. On an exhale, sending the breath out the upper hand, out the belly. And then you might notice that your spine begins to wave with the breath. Inhale, belly. Inhale, heart. Exhale, chest. Exhale, belly. Inhale, extension of the spine as you lift. Maybe your gaze lifts slightly. Exhale, curling it in, finding some contraction. Inhale. And exhale. Two more like that. Your rhythm, your breath. And then if it feels right, bringing the arms into the movement, allowing your arms to grow and expand. And exhale, drawing it into midline. Inhale, sweeping open. And exhale. You can even press palms firmly when you come to midline. One more like that. Inhale, expand. Exhale, contract. And then soften the hands, coming back to center. Just a few rotations of the spine, one direction and the other, just allowing yourself to greet your hips, your low back. How the belly and heart connect to each other, moving in the other direction if you haven't already. And then back through to center. And from here, I'm going to turn around for a moment. I want to kind of show this from behind. So we're going to interlace the hands, and you can always use a strap if you need to. And then take a moment and draw the knuckles down away, drawing your shoulders down. Maybe just finding a little bit of movement in your head and your neck. Sound is always such a good way to move energy too. So if you find any stuck spots, just sigh it out, give it a sound. Right? And then an invitation to take both hands over towards your right hip, and then allowing your left shoulder to drop and your right ear to release toward the right shoulder. So a little bit of bind in the arms and an opening in the side of the neck. And whenever we're opening into the side of the neck, you get to explore. See what happens if you take your eyes all the way to the right and all the way to the left. And then back to center with your head, with your hands, with your eyes. Maybe another moment drawing the knuckles down. And then we'll take it to the other side. So hands across to the left hip, lowering the right shoulder, maybe lowering the left ear towards the left shoulder, and then drawing your breath into the right side of your neck. Maybe a little movement with the eyes. The eyes are very connected to the muscles in the neck. The occipital muscles at the base of the skull, taking your eyes in the opposite direction. And then slowly soften back to center. And we're going to come all the way around, legs out in front. So from here, an invitation to explore another breath practice. So I'm going to invite in an option for Kapalabhati breathing. That's our rapid kind of breath of fire. It's a cleansing breath. It's a clearing breath. Listen to your body. Not right for you? Honor that. Long, deep breathing in the same shape is going to serve you, right? So in this shape, it's using your hands here to support a lift for the heart, a lift for the belly. And then a Kapalabhati breath here is a rapid inhale, exhale, drawing the navel back to send the breath out. Inhale here. And exhale to completion. And then just a few more long, deep breaths here, really filling into the belly, the chest once again. Maybe the throat. Exhale. It's like you're sweeping out the cobwebs. One more like that. Maybe a sigh. Beautiful. And then an invitation to come all the way down onto your back. So those of you who have taken with me, some of you for quite a while, you know that I like to bring the core into our yoga. So a little yoga lattes or a little Pilates working here, but the chance to really wake up through the core, and it's going to support our energetic intention today, right? So we have our core center, our solar plexus, our inner sunflower, and that ability to really generate energy, that capacity to hold charge. So taking a breath here, just sensing yourself on the earth, and then using your hands to support you for a moment. We're going to send both legs all the way up to the ceiling and a little flex into the feet. So just allowing your legs to be really awake here. And then you get to choose. I'm going to offer up a lifting of the upper body with either the arms in front of you or your hands behind your head. So just honoring your neck. We're kind of gazing up. We're really closing the distance between the ribs and the hips. And we're starting to wake up that tapas, that heat. Tapas also refers to discipline. So we're building that capacity to show up courageously on the mat and in the world. Now you can rest the upper body, or again, take your hands behind your head at any point in this practice. The next variation is to take the left leg down to hover above the mat. So now I've got a L shape in my legs. I'm continuing to lift through the upper body. Hands here are an option. Left foot on the floor is an option. So just exploring. Maybe you start to feel a little shake. That's a good thing. We're on to something. All right, let's switch it out. Left leg lifts and right leg lowers. Your options. Foot can be down, hands behind the head. Just allowing yourself to connect to breath. A little bit of that shake, a good sign. Lifting the right foot, meet the left, switching it out. Left foot lowers and hovers. Switching it out, lifting left, lowering right. Lifting right. This time we're going to lower the left and we're going to turn towards the right. This might be a lovely time to support your head. It's allowing yourself to hold and hover. Always that option to lower the left foot to the earth. We're going to come back to center. We're going to switch it out, lowering the right leg, twisting toward the left leg, holding and hovering. Coming back to center. And we'll have a little variation. We're going to twist to the right. We're going to lower the left leg. Here's where I'm going to plant my left foot. And then as we twist towards the right, we're just going to lower the right leg to hover. And we're going to bring it back up. Inhale, we lower. Exhale, we contract and turn. Inhale to lower. Exhale. Inhale. One more. Coming back through to center, lifting the left leg, lowering the right, finding the twist. Again, I'm going to plant my right foot for this, and then I'm lowering the left, and exhale. Inhale. So we're building that energy around your core, that circulating energy. Samana Vayu. This is that wind or that channel of energy around the core. All right, I think we're on our last one here. Maybe this side got one extra. We're going to come back to center once again, lifting both legs. Hands might even lift as well. Just like you're trying to levitate right up off your mat. And then lower it down. Hug your knees in, a little rock side to side. And then hands behind your knees, a little rock on your spine. And we'll find a little pause. So see if you can find your way into a balance shape here, into Navasana, boat pose. You can always keep your hands behind your knees. Maybe you bring your arms to the side. Just pausing here for a moment, sensing. Breath, maybe some warmth, right? Depending on where you are in the world where you're practicing. And it's been very warm in Colorado this past week. So maybe you feel some of that inner heat building too. Okay, we're going to come up and over the ankles. We're going to come into a tabletop. And take a moment here just to let that move through. All right, you can stretch the front body, the back body, any intuitive movement, just integrating, right? Gathering that energy and then exploring, how does it serve you? Where does it want to go? And I'll guide an option here, which is to find a flowing cat-cow. So maybe coming up through cat, arching the spine, and then coming back down towards child's pose. Up through cat, and then allowing your hips to lift, head to lift down through cow. Another like that, up through cat. Down through cow, and then we're going to switch it up, coming up through cow and down through cat. One might feel more natural or intuitive than the other, doesn't matter. You can really make this yours. So if you have a preference, go to where your body says, oh, I want more of that. So we'll just open it up here, allowing yourself to move in any way that supports you. And you might take even that movement a little more forward, like into a cobra, and then a little further back, deepening into that child's pose. This is your practice. Maybe you get a little side to side in there. And you can stay with your intuitive flow, or I'll guide another variation coming back through into your table, and just a little side to side action here, like a C curve, but a little lifting of the opposite foot. So you're going to gaze at the opposite toe. And it's like, sometimes I think of eeny, meeny, miny, mo. We're gonna catch the tiger by the toe here. Just taking a look back, see if you can find the tiger's toe. You might even give a little breath. Give your side bodies a little squeeze. And then back to center. Lovely. So one of my most favorite little sequences, some of you have done this with me, we're going to take our right leg out to the right. So I've just turned so you can see me a little better. We're in a tabletop base here, and we're going to open the right arm. We're going to open it to lift, and then we're going to exhale under and through, but we're moving with the breath. So we inhale to lift and exhale to curl in. Feeling here like you are a fern unfurling to the sun and then curling back in at the end of the day. Beautiful. 2 hands onto the mat. And then we're going to walk up to balance. So you might feel a little dizzy from that opening and closing, taking a moment, just finding your root here, right? And then we're gonna lift the arms and coming over towards the right. So just a lovely side body opener on the left side, gate pose. And then up and over, planting the left hand and a variation of an extended side angle. So just allowing yourself to feel the whole right side of your body, that whole energetic line open up. So the outer line of the body is often associated with the gallbladder meridian. So you might imagine here we're just supporting some of your organs, even in this shape. And then maybe we find a little balance. So your left knee and hand are your roots, and we lift the right leg off of the ground. So you get to stay in any variation that's supporting you. If you're finding the balance, maybe on an exhale, knee and elbow come together. Inhale, we broaden and expand. Exhale. Inhale. One more time, squeeze it in. Inhale, lowering down and coming back to your tabletop. You can wiggle that out for a moment, and we'll find side 2. Taking your left foot out, starting with your left arm to lift, and exhale, under and through. Inhale, open and curl. Exhale. Inhale, unfurl. Exhale. We expand, and then we return back to center, this time planting the left hand and walking your hands up to balance here for gate as we come toward the left. Just a few movements, opening, right side body, a little contraction into the left waist, and then up and over. Grounding into the right hand, allowing that left arm to extend overhead. You might even walk that left foot away a little bit, reach the right fingertips. And then perhaps finding that balance as you lift left foot off of the earth. Inhale here and exhale. Inhale. Beautiful. We are going to meet back in a tabletop. So allowing yourself to Take in the shape of where we've been thus far. And then a resting into child's pose, settling your hips back for a moment and allowing your head to rest onto the earth. So these brief pauses from our expansive shape are providing an opportunity to assimilate, to receive, to track the impact of a shape and what's happening energetically for you now. I'll offer an option here, which is to walk your hands off the mat to the right. So we're in child's pose and we're really opening through the left side body, under the left shoulder, into the left rib cage. All right, let's take it to the other side. Walking your hands off the mat to the left. Breathing into the right side. Making space in the rib cage, opening up the armoring around the heart. And then back through to center. We're going to come back through a tabletop. This time, we're going to curl the toes under, and if it's right for you today, pressing back into a downward facing dog. And once you arrive, maybe you walk it out, right? You're going to make it yours. And if you'd like to join me, we'll do something similar to what we did in table, which is that we're going to round the spine forward like a wave coming to the shore. And then we're going to bend the knees and we're going to take your hips back into a downward dog. You can lift your heels, you can lower them here. And we'll explore that again. I'm going to invite you to lift your heels up and then let the movement come all the way through from your tailbone through your spine to the back of the head as the gaze comes forward last. And then bending the knees, allowing your hips to lead you back. Once again, your gaze can come back last. You might lift the heels and then lower them down. Let's do it one more time, lifting the heels and then allowing yourself to come like a wave to the shore into a high plank shape. And then bending the knees, sending your hips back. Gaze follows last. Lift the heels, maybe lower the heels, downward facing dog. And we'll take one of my favorite transitions to standing. So we're going to take the feet wide. I've got a few favorite transitions. Some of you maybe expected me to go another way, but we're going to bend the knees and we're going to walk the hands back into a low squat. And then once you arrive there, we're going to just find a few breaths here in this malasana shape. Just low to the ground, feeling your connection to earth. We're curling down right into the hips. We're opening them as we rotate side to side, right? So part of what the sunflowers are really representing for me and why they're in today's class is that the sunflowers get really tall, right? And they don't always have the strongest roots. I was watching out of my window the other day as a squirrel crawled up the sunflower stalk and then the whole thing went right on over. One of these was cut from the fallen sunflower. But you know what we need to really seek here is how do we allow ourselves to expand and stay firmly grounded, right? So those sunflowers that are still standing tall out there, they must have some good supportive stalk, right? Like it's It's a short-lived expansion, but they're beautiful. All right, so here we are in our malasana, in our grounding shape. We're going to sunflower our way up to standing, okay? So just allowing yourself to just feel that reach towards the sun, right? That lifting towards the realms of potential that lives in all of us. Wow, right? We're going to reach up. And we're going to do it again. Many of you know me, right? We're going to come on back, shake your hips, come on all the way back down to the earth. And right, for some of you, you're like, I'm going from here to here. That's great, right? Listen to your range of motion and your hips and your knees. And we're going to find our way back again, gather, 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 really feel that connection to earth. We're going to bring that energy as we reach toward the sun. So today, this is going to be sunflower pose. How's that? All right, one more time. Really feeling how we're going to gather our nutrients. We're going to bring it all in so that when we have the resources that we need, we can press down into earth and we can lift up. Here we are. And today, a little bit of supporting this expansion. I'm just going to invite you for a moment to kind of soften through your knees, soften through your ankles, your hips. My feet are hip width apart here. And then with your hands on your low back for a moment, just allow yourself to feel how you can send the pelvis forward and lift the heart, right? So that you can keep your chin tucked. There's no strain in the neck here. Just allowing yourself to feel that we have a little bit of softness in the joints, that we have more capacity to go with the flow. All right, coming back up to center. Our next little playful expansion here is to come side to side in what I call wave arms. So we're going to press palms in opposite directions. We're going to come down. Doesn't matter which side you start, so just allowing yourself to find this in your body. The upper hand is in the same direction that you're turning towards, that you're bending towards. You're going to exhale as you come to the side and inhale, center. And exhale, pressing palms. Inhale. Moving like the wave once again. So when we think about energy, right, we've got waves. How do we really sense that we are the wave, we are the ocean? One more time each side. And then back to center. This time, similar to what we did a moment ago, interlacing the hands and drawing the connected hands down, keeping a little bend in the knees as you send the pelvis forward and the heart lifts. Maybe the chin lifts. And then exhale up and over into a forward fold. You can keep the hands connected or use a strap. And in Yogi Mudra, we're bowing head below heart, bowing to the wisdom of the heart. There's a humility here. And then softening, hands to hips, hands to earth. Inhale halfway. And exhale, planting your hands. We're going to step back to a high plank position. And for this first one, an invitation to lower your knees, bend at the elbows to lower your chest and your chin, and pause for a moment in this inchworm shape before settling all the way down to the earth. And you can take a moment here, just wiggling your hips side to side. Maybe you rotate your shoulders a little bit, and we'll find some rolling cobras. So allowing yourself to choose how much weight in your hands, if any at all, how much lift of your heart. You can explore the placement of the heels of your palms a little bit further back towards your rib cage. Sometimes feels interesting, just see what you notice. 2 more, your own rolling wave with the breath. And then from here, an invitation to come through child's or through table, arriving, catching up. And I'll guide you to keep the hips lifted above the knees and to walk your hands forward. So this is Anahatasana. Sometimes it's referred to as the heart opening pose. It's opening up through the back side of your heart chakra. So we lower down the forehead as we keep the hips lifted. It's also called puppy dog pose, right? So an option here to take your palms together, to settle your elbows into the mat and to draw the hands toward the back of your head. And you might squeeze elbows a little more toward each other or forward. Notice what kind of brings that sweet spot of sensation into your shoulders, enough to breathe with, not so much that it's painful. You can back out. Then we're opening up that energetic channel, right? The heart out through the shoulders, all the way to the fingertips. And then slowly releasing the hands, coming back out, lifting up onto your hands, and then pressing back, downward facing dog. So been here before, just noticing, how does this shape feel different? What's changing across your practice? And then gazing to the front of your mat, and we'll take a nice long walk, long, slow walk to arrive into a forward fold. My other favorite transition to standing, we're going to bend the knees here a little bit. We're going to find a nice long spine, and we're going to send the hands back. Okay, so feeling your strength, you can even create a little squeeze here of your knees toward each other, of your inner thighs toward each other. So you can do this, hip width apart, but as if there's like an imaginary block there. You're really squeezing to that midline. Drawing my navel up toward the spine, and you can stay right here, or you might draw your arms forward. So your weight can shift even a little more into your heels. You could even lift your toes off the earth. So let your breath rise to meet the shape. And then pressing into the feet all the way up to standing. And exhale, soften the arms here. Now, a moment in samastitihi, a moment palm to palm in front of your heart. Pressing into the feet, strong in your legs. Crown of the head lifting as if there's a little string, just inviting the crown upward. Maybe you sense your heartbeat. That question of energy, what are you noticing now? Where's your energy flowing naturally? What's it needing from you? Beautiful. from here. An invitation to bend at the knees, release the hands to the earth. And inhale, we're going to draw the arms up. So Utkatasana. And you get to choose how much depth in the hips, how much lift of the heart. There is this interplay there that sometimes the more we sit, we start to curl and kind of protect the heart. So how can we find the intensity? Utkatasana, Utkata is intense standing pose, right? So we've got intense standing pose, intensity, and an open heart. How does this translate to meeting intensity in the world? Right, we're going to move with the breath a little bit. We're going to move a little energy. Inhale here. And exhale. One more. Good. And then stay back. Let your arms come back, maybe interlace them once again. We're going to draw the hands back and then perhaps lifting through your heels. Whoa, a little balance, right? Coming in and out. Listen to your body. You can imagine that you're standing at the front of a ship, right? The wind blowing in your face. Lowering the heels, releasing the hands. Inhale, let's sweep all the way up to standing. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, finding a halfway lift. And exhale, your way to downward dog. So I'm going to guide you this time into a low plank to upward facing dog, but you can come to the earth for cobra. If you're joining me here, we're going to bend at the arms, coming halfway down, chaturanga, right? So an intense shape. Just pause for a moment, feel the shake. And then we're going to roll over the toes. We're going to lift through the heart. Feeling that long line from your heels, the backs of the legs, the tailbone through the spine, out to the crown of the head. On an exhale, we'll meet downward facing dog. A moment to make it yours to arrive. From downward dog, an invitation to inhale, lifting through your right leg, and exhale all the way through and forward into a low lunge. Just a moment to greet this shape. It's kind of our first time into our hips, our hamstrings, our hip flexors. So maybe coming in and out, bending and straightening each leg. You can lower the left knee as you do this. Let this be intuitive. Beautiful. And when you're ready, an invitation to come up to crescent lunge. So for this one, the left knee is lifted, although you can do this with the left knee down. So that's our modification. Otherwise, coming up, finding your balance, checking in that your feet are hip width apart, so you're not standing on a balance beam. And then a little bend into that left knee. So sometimes when we lock out through the joints, we're also locking out through our energy. So keeping some softness really allows the muscles to be engaged rather than the joints and the bones trying to take the action, right? So we can really find that energetic support. Maybe the arms lift here. And just as with Utkatasana, just a few sweeping breaths. Exhale, inhale. Good. Inhale here. And I'll invite you to take hold of your left wrist and just a little turn towards the right. So as you do so, explore the relationship between your heart and your left hip flexor. Beautiful. We're going to open this up and around to warrior two. Likely a familiar shape for most of us here. A little footwork to get there. We're turned over the right leg. And inside of this shape, we can approach this in a lot of different ways, right? Fiercely or more watery, right? Today, I'll invite a little bit of that watery flow, that kind of energy that we're working with, the wave. As we inhale away from the right leg, you can use those same hands we practiced with before, pressing in opposite directions, and exhale toward the right leg. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And we're going to change it up. Inhale. We're going to lengthen the right leg. We're going to lengthen through the side body, the right arm, into reverse triangle. Much more linear shape. And then exhale, long, long, long reach. And then rotating the arms. Finding your way into Trikonasana. Still a little micro bend in that right knee, right? Protecting the joints. You get to choose the depth in this shape. You might use a block. You might have your fingers to the floor. I'm just listening to what's supportive. One of my favorite variations here is to really drag my feet toward each other. So it's as if I'm trying to scrunch up my mat between my feet so that the legs have a very active quality in this shape. Might even feel a little bit of that shake in the legs as you draw the feet toward each other. Now it's subtle, right? You don't see it, but you feel it. Let's gaze down. Let's soften the right knee. Inhale. And exhale. Let's come all the way down to the mat. Hands plant. Slipping back right foot to meet the left. An option to go right to down dog, or maybe once again, coming halfway down or all the way to the mat. Coming to cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale. Downward facing dog. You feeling some heat? Feeling some energy move? Okay, inhale, let's sweep the left leg up. Exhale, stepping forward and through. And a few breaths here. Greeting this side of your body, might have a different story to tell. Lovely. And then when you are ready, we are going to lift all the way up to crescent lunge, taking your time, allowing yourself to make this transition wisely, checking in with your feet that they're a nice wide base. You can always readjust, right? And if you need that knee down, take this with the knee down, right? And then from here, maybe the arms lift. Perhaps moving with the breath. And inhale as we lift, this time taking hold of the right wrist as we just do a little turn and side bend toward the left. As you do so, breathing through your right hip flexor. And then lifting up here. We're going to open it up, warrior two. And taking a moment to arrive in your shape. It's going to turn so I'm facing you. And if you did so on the other side, maybe joining me in pressing palms. Inhale. And exhale like a wave to the shore. Inhale, we retreat. And exhale, we move forward. Your rhythm, your dance. And then this time, new shape, lengthening through the left leg, reaching away. Long side body. And exhale, reach, reach, reach. Rotate, little micro bend in the left knee. And perhaps that feeling of drawing your legs toward each other, like you're gonna scrunch up your mat between your feet. Your legs are so strong. Again, not locking the knees to do so. How do we find that strength without having to be rigid? And then slowly soften the gaze. Inhale through warrior two. And exhale all the way to the earth. I'll find my way to the front here. So you can find your way to downward dog through an upward plank, low plank, cobra, or upward dog, or skip all of that. And we're going to take a moment here, once we've arrived, to settle in, to receive the pose. So I'll offer up child's pose, wisdom pose, for that purpose. But if you want another shape to receive your experience thus far, choose you, right? We let the heart rate increase, and then we allow it to come back to a resting, restorative homeostasis. And that's a marker of resilience, that when we build that capacity to go between an active, more sympathetic, mobilized state in the body and to come back to rest, that we can handle stress better in the world. Isn't that beautiful? We become better at navigating those tricky moments, like the conflicts, right? That's our yoga out there. The differences, the sticky stuff. And we can do more of a kind of energetic aikido where it doesn't get stuck in us. All right, we've got another standing sequence. So that was our little palate cleanse and resting shape. We're going to come back up through a tabletop, and invitation to curl your toes under and press back to downward dog. Now, some of you might say like, oh, that was enough active for me today. I'm going to spend the rest of my time on the mat. Go for it, right? Like it's your practice. So if you're up for one more standing flow, join me here in downward dog. And from here, an invitation to lift that right leg once again, to gaze forward and exhale, stepping right foot forward and through. This time, we're going to ground through the left heel and we're going to lift to warrior one. So warrior one is sometimes a trickier posture in our standing sequences, and we're drawing the hips forward towards that short edge of the mat. And we're not forcing anything. So I like to start, and you can watch me do this, just opening and closing the hips. Just kind of opening to the side, and then we're coming forward. And then there's a natural point at which the hips say, well, that's as far as I go, right? And we're keeping that left heel grounded, right? We've got that nice strong back leg. And then when the hips say that's enough for me, then we allow the rib cage to really be a separate kind of unattaching some of that connective tissue. We're really opening and stretching there so that the rib cage can help the heart turn forward. And then from there, maybe drawing the arms up overhead. Now we did this in crescent. We're going to do it again here. We're going to take hold of that left wrist and we're going to just turn and gaze over toward the right. So a little bit of a side bend, a little bit of a twist, and then just breathing into the left side body. Left hip flexor. And then back through to center, this time exhaling the hands down and behind. Yogi Mudra, taking clasping of the hands and inhale to lift the heart. And exhale, forward fold, to be inside of your right knee. Inside of the right thigh. And you can press the right leg in towards the right shoulder and right shoulder back toward the leg. You can just let your head hang if that feels comfortable on your neck. You can gaze toward the arch of your left foot, or maybe towards those sunflowers behind you. Just kidding. So, humble warrior. Here we are. That willingness to know when to let go. To admit when we're wrong. To return to earth when we've grown too high, right? Not in a way where we get knocked down, but just a simple willingness to return to the ground. And then slowly, hands by way of sacrum to the earth. We're going to lift all the way back up through warrior one more time, just to stretch or reach. And then exhale to the inside of your right foot. Now, I'm lifting my left heel and I'm going to toe heel my right foot across and then lower the right knee down. So we're coming into a variation of pigeon. And for those of you that took with me a few classes ago, I think 2 classes ago, we did this variation there. So it's an active pigeon. This is not our full resting pigeon. We're actually drawing the left knee and right leg toward each other. We're kind of squaring the hips just like we did in warrior one. So it's a lifted up. My pelvis is not totally down to the earth. We're lifting up more here and it's strong. You might even feel a little bit of that, woo, a little shake. That's okay. Maybe you lift the heart and free the arms. That's a lot. Just see if it's right for you. Maybe you take the hands and clasp them as we just did in Humble Warrior. Just allowing yourself to open across the chest, pressing into the legs to find the lift from the earth. Inhale. And exhale, we'll release the hands and use them to support a gentle rounding forward over your legs. So you can choose the depth, right? Maybe your elbows come down. And again, I'm going to invite you to keep some activity in your legs. We're not just giving it all away. We're really keeping strong as we settle. Surrendering through the upper body, through the neck, through the jaw, muscles of your face. And you might let go in the hips just a little bit and then re-engage that left knee pulling forward, right knee pulling back, and then soften. And then pull toward each other. And then soften. And then from here, walking onto your hands, curling the back toes under if they're not already, and stepping that right foot back. Now, before we go to side 2, an option here to open up that right leg. So we're gonna lift through the right leg and then stack right hip above the left. So you can keep the right leg long, maybe you bend the knee, maybe you kind of curl back. So head and foot are kind of curling toward each other here. So this beautiful psoas opener, side body opener, big stretch, and exhale, downward facing dog. All right, let's find this on side 2. Inhale, freeing your left leg. Exhale, stepping forward and through, grounding into the right heel. And your way up to warrior one. All right, so once again, we're gonna open and close. Just allowing yourself to feel your way into this shape. Explore the point at which your hips say, that's about as square as I go. And then let your rib cage take over. Letting your heart rotate forward. Feeling that opening between the lowest right rib and the top of the right hip. And then from here, maybe lifting the arms. We can accentuate that right side body opening, taking hold of the right wrist and a little curl toward the left. And then coming back to center. Softening the hands back and behind. Interlacing or using your strap. Maybe drawing the heart to lift. And exhale. Folding forward to the inside of your left leg. Softening what can be softened inside of the shape. Maybe the forehead, maybe any tension around your eyes, maybe the palate of the mouth or your jaw, your ears, your neck. Slowly, by way of the sake of releasing the hands, we're going to lift all the way back up. Warrior one. And exhale. Down to the earth. Planting the hands, lifting the right heel, and then toe heeling left foot across for our pigeon. Now, I didn't mention this on the other side, but there's always that option to take a supine figure four, right? So if your knee does not like pigeon, taking the variation that works for you, please. And then as we arrive here in whichever shape you're taking, but if you're in pigeon, let this be active to start. Let your right knee draw forward, your left shin and knee drawing back, enough so that you can lift up through your torso. And you might keep your hands here for support or a block, right? You're like, okay, I can do this with support, right? Because sometimes that's what it takes. And then maybe you free the arms and they drop back. Maybe you connect palms and use that to help lift the heart in this shape so that we're pressing into the legs to create that lift through the heart. This is big energy right here. Inhale and exhale, release. Coming forward to the degree that works in your body, right? Listening. We're not going to give it all away here. We're going to keep some press down into the earth. I like to keep that back toe tucked under so that we can really draw toward midline. And then from there, maybe settle down to the earth. You might let go in the legs and then re-engage. Maybe you let go. And then re-engage that action. And let go. And then slowly engaging into the legs to press back up, curling right toes under, stepping left foot back. Oh, wow. Done a lot today. Just walking that out, and we're going to open that left leg one more time, lifting the leg up and then stacking left hip over the right. Maybe you bend into that left leg. Maybe you curl your head back. So making this yours, finding what opens up into the sensations of where it can be a little sticky in your body, sending your breath. And then exhale. downward facing dog. An invitation to settle the knees. And if it's okay in your body, to sit onto your heels for a moment. It's receiving. Noticing your breath, right? If there's some active, still active breathing going on, good. We got the heart rate up, we got the breath rate up. But see what happens as you slow that down. Maybe you're sitting on a block, maybe you're sitting cross-legged. Doesn't matter. Finding your way to honoring that your body has that capacity to rise and settle. Your nervous system, building resilience. Now checking in. I have one more little challenge for you. For those of you, I put a little preview of classes sometimes up on Facebook. So I had a preview of this yesterday. So some of you might know where we're going. A little challenge for you. And if your body says, no, I'm not ready for another challenge today, come to your back and rest. Otherwise, the challenge, the opportunity, right? The option here is to play with dolphin pose, maybe to play with Pigeon, which is to come into a forearm stand. As soon as you hear that we're going into an inversion, some of you might be like, yeah, peace out, I'm good. But if you want to join me, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use a block for this one. And if you don't have a block, that's totally fine. You can do this without, but sometimes it's helpful to press into something to keep that midline focused energy in the upper body. So just like we were doing with the legs of really hugging to midline, we're going to do that same action in the arms here. And we're going to create L shapes between our first finger and our thumb, and we're going to wrap those L's around the block. And from there, just like our downward dog, we're going to lift our hips, except this time we're in a forearms, and we've come to a forearm downward dog or a dolphin shape. Okay, now this is a absolutely lovely place to stay. You might stay here by walking your feet forward and closing the distance between your feet and your elbows. And you might find a distance and breathe there. And then your body might say, okay, I'm ready for another little baby step, right? Mother, may I? Can I take a little step forward? Right, checking in with your body. Your body says yes or no. And tuning in. And continuing to wrap your hands around the block. Maybe your gaze comes down and maybe you lift the right leg. Just a few breaths here. Just exploring your relationship to this shape. Now, some of you might stay here. Some of you might hop a little bit and balance, right? You might take tiny little hops. You might hop all the way up and find your way into a forearm stand. No right, no wrong, no better, no worse. Honoring your body. I'm back down on the earth. We're going to find left leg lift. So if your right leg was lifted still, lowering it down, let's switch left leg. Maybe you feel that shake. Maybe you feel that warmth. Maybe you're down in child's pose, listening to your body. Maybe a little hop. And when you're ready, both feet to the earth, settling the knees, and once again, sitting back onto the heels. So I'll offer the integration in a seated shape. I'll offer this integration, just allowing yourself to find a long, upright spine. No matter what happened in that shape, right? No matter where you went or didn't go, now is a new moment. Again, heart rate lifts, and then we take the time to settle. So throughout this class, we've been working with energy, right? We gathered the energy around our core, and then we explored really grounding into the legs and gathering that downward flow of energy and this inward flow of energy. And as we're coming towards the completion here, we're opening up into this upward flowing energy, this udana through the throat. And this next posture is the quintessential throat chakra posture. It's a beautiful posture for the throat energy, and it's Camel. And again, I'll share variations if you want to go there with me. We're going to lift the hips, we're going to curl the toes under, and we'll start out with the hands on the low back, pressing the hips forward, lifting through the heart. And you can stay right here, right? Chin can stay tucked. There's no reason to create distress in your neck for the service of opening. So you listen to you, right? You might interlace your hands as we've been doing, and that'll lift the heart a little bit more. You're going to squeeze inner thighs towards each other. You might free the hands, and they might come back down onto your ankles or heels. Again, pressing hips forward, lifting heart. Maybe you lift chin towards the ceiling, honoring your neck. Slowly, slowly, lifting up and sitting once again onto the heels, or if you prefer, in easy sitting pose. It's a beautiful posture to notice the circulation of energy. And sometimes it can evoke emotion, energy in motion. Yoga in general can do that, right? We open up through these pockets of the body that we hold on, and all of a sudden we're able to feel it so we can let it go. So we just let that move through. And you might stay here, or perhaps you join me coming down onto your back. You can start here with the knees bent, just planting your feet on the floor. We'll wind this down with half wind removing pose, drawing right knee in, again, coming back to support your digestion. We come back to letting go. You can extend your left leg long if that feels right for you. You come back to letting yourself be heavy in relationship to gravity. So that even when we find those expansive shapes, those expansive moments, that we know how to return to the most simple, humble of the earth places in ourselves. And then soften right knee, right foot to the earth. Let's bring the left knee in. I like to start this shape with the opposite leg still bent, right? So before extending that right leg long, just feel this shape in a very easy manner. And then maybe you extend that right leg long. So we're contracting into the left psoas and opening through the right hip flexor. massaging the descending colon. And then releasing. One last shape here, drawing both knees in, wrapping arms around your shins, maybe tucking your nose in, giving yourself a hug, and then settling, letting go, extending one leg long, the other leg long, arms by your sides, softening, settling to the earth. Perhaps your palms rotate up toward the ceiling in a gesture of receiving. You have done enough. You are enough. You have enough. There's no more seeking or reaching or doing necessary. See if you can allow the satisfaction to fill you. Can you be satiated? As you rest in this shape, continue to receive this shape. I'm going to offer up that we have really allowed something beautiful to move in this practice, right? We've turned toward the not knowing, and we've allowed ourselves to become just a little bit more alive. Right? We've sat on the verge of something together. And it's a very courageous journey. So thank you. Very slowly, if you would like, beginning to reawaken, wiggling your fingers and your toes. Slowly, gently rotating hands around the wrists, feet around your ankles. Maybe rocking to one side or rocking on your spine. Gently making your way back up to sitting. Of course, you can stay in your Shavasana for as long as you would like, right? Your body, your practice. And just a brief moment to notice. Perhaps returning to the intention that you set at the beginning of class. Maybe giving yourself permission to really receive that now. Receive the change. Receive the self-care, the kindness, the compassion. And either hand over your heart or palm to palm in front of your heart. It's really planting that seed of how you'd like to bring this practice out into your world. And it doesn't have to be through words or even knowing yet what that looks like, but just knowing that it inevitably translates to how we show up. And gratitude to each of you for showing up here today. Namaste.